Zumindest glaube ich, dass nicht mehr so viel kommt hier. Falls nicht, dann nächste Woche auf jeden Fall. Und ja, währenddessen dürft ihr nächstes Spiel abstimmen. Ich weiß zwar, gestern hatte noch Paper Mario eine Stimme, dass wir nicht spielen konnten, wegen Zeit. Aber falls euch jetzt irgendwie heute doch irgendwie erstmal, falls ihr doch jetzt irgendwie erstmal Lust auf irgendwas anderes habt, macht mal frische Abstimmung und so weiter. Und ja. So. War deine? Ah ja. So. Okay, also machen wir vielleicht fertig. Mal gucken. Also, um kurz wieder die letzten Geschehnisse rückblickend wieder zu spielen. Was ist denn passiert? Keiichi wollte zu Satokos Haus gehen und den Onkel wieder umbringen. Onkel war nicht da. Satoko war in der Badewanne mit ganz viel heißem Wasser und so weiter. War schon so fast ohnmächtig und so weiter. Der geht's also nicht besonders gut. Keiichi hat sie entdeckt, hat sich dann ein bisschen um sie gekümmert und nimmt sie jetzt auf seinem Fahrrad mit, um sie ins Krankenhaus zu bringen, damit der Doktor Satoko mal anschauen kann, ob wir dann noch was machen müssen oder ob die so wieder gesund wird und so weiter. Ja. So. Das müsste, glaube ich, ungefähr grob das gewesen sein, was bisher bei Higurashi passiert ist. Zumindest vom letzten Mal einfach. The hilly road to the clinic, with which I had never had difficulties before, was now torturous. Big beads of sweat formed on my brow, and at some point my breath had grown faint. The hatchet in my belt was heavy and made it hard to walk. I considered leaving it, but I couldn't let it go, at least not while Satoko's uncle was still breathing. Der hat ein Beil, weiß ich, Keiichi, weil er ja Satokos Onkel nochmal umbringen wollte. The signboard for the Hier clinic came into sight, but I quickly noticed something was odd, so I stopped. Several red revolving lights were flashing at the clinic. 3 police cars were parked in the parking lot with their lights on. There didn't need to be much else to inform me something had happened. I didn't want to see Coach, so I had planned to leave Satoko in the clinic waiting room and give the receptionist a message. But with that police officer Uishi here, I couldn't go inside so carelessly. What's going on? Why are there so many police cars? I gently put Satoko down in the shade of the thicket. I don't know. I go see what happened, so you stay here for a moment. Leaving a lady in a place like this wearing nothing but a bath towel is simply unforgivable. If you can still fire off those insults, you'll be fine. I'll be right back, I added, getting to my feet. Cautious of my surroundings, I hid myself behind a car and got closer to the officers grouped at the clinic's entrance. I overheard an officer wearing a necktie, probably their leader, and a white-robed doctor having a discussion about something. the doctor didn't seem to be Coach. It was one of those who Coach told to make the tea yesterday. So you were the first one to find it, since you were on morning duty. So then, what did it look like? He was sitting on the sofa in the head office. He looked like he was taking a nap. There was a jug and an empty bottle of sleep medication on his desk, so he immediately thought he had tried to commit suicide with it. What else? His high temperature and incontinence indicated a severe disturbance of consciousness. It seemed like a typical case of sleeping pill poisoning, so I immediately began to treat him. Without calling the police or an ambulance? Ambulance? Ja. In einem Krankenhaus. Sehr gut. There's a hospital, and I'm a doctor. Since his life was in danger, it's my job to treat him at once. Yes, I understand, okay. What else? His breathing was in disarray, so I put him on a respirator. I also administered breathing stimulants. It had no effect, so I prepared a medical ventilator and... right. So in other words, you did what you could, but it wasn't enough. That's it, right? You reported this as soon as he died? Yes. It was very unfortunate that we were unable to save him. Just then, a radio in one of the police cars started to buzz, producing a broken mechanical voice. This is HQ. Komiyama-san, can you hear me? Over. Hello, this is Komiyama. We've come up with something. It looks like he committed suicide with sleeping pills. No notes or anything. Suicide? What the heck were they talking about? Someone had committed suicide at the clinic? But who? I wished Takano-san dead, and she died the next day. And yesterday, I wished Coach was dead. Then, could he have? Did he use sleeping medication regularly? I don't really know. Did he normally complain that he was tired or wanted to die? Well, Rie-sensei was normally so, well, himself. He never acted like that. So I was right. Rie-sensei. They were talking about Coach. Coach killed himself. Why would he do that? There couldn't have been any reason he wanted to die. The only reason that came to mind was that I wanted him dead. This world was insane. If I wanted someone dead, they'd die. That was the kind of world this was. Then what about Oishi? What happened to him? If people really died because I wanted them to, then something should have happened to him too. I've sent you back up. The chief wants you to leave the rest to them and get back to searching for Oishi's car. Yes, sir. Please excuse me then. It looks like we're getting relieved here. So please leave everything as it is right now. Alright, let's go. The officers nodded and split up into the patrol cars. Patrol cars. Did they just say searching for Ishi's car? Searching for his car. That meant he had gone missing? Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi. When I wished for it, the very next day, they disappeared. No matter how angry you were when you said you wished someone was dead, it didn't normally happen. Someone knew just wishing for it wouldn't make them dead, and that's why people could utter such curses so lightly. But the curses I uttered were being granted. At the time, I hadn't even been walking and yet... tap. I heard a footstep. And it wasn't only one this time. Tap, tap. They came from behind. And they stood right behind me, reaching a hand for my shoulder. Pico umgesetzt. Ja, genau. Ja, ne, da haben wir eine kleine Winkelkatze. Would you mind telling me what's going on? Wow, Satoko. Don't scare me like that. I'm the scared one here. I'd prefer it if you didn't shout so suddenly. It was Satoko. Her eyes were still unstable, unfocused, but she seemed able to at least walk on her own now. She looked far better now compared to her earlier exhausted state. How do you feel? Are you better? My head still hurts. But I can't stay outside looking like this. I can't stay outside looking like this forever. She gave a smile, a show of courage, but her legs were still shaky. Warum ist sie draußen nur mit einem Handtuch? Weil Keiichi hat sie ja in der Badewanne gefunden. So kurz vor ohnmächtig sein. Und der wollte sie halt zur Klinik bringen. Und die einzigen Klamotten, die Keiichi da auf die Schnelle gefunden hat, waren halt ihre dreckigen Sachen. Und Keiichi hat dann anscheinend gedacht, wäre dann doch irgendwie besser, wenn sie nur ein Handtuch anhat, anstatt ihre dreckigen Klamotten. Keine Ahnung. Anyway, what on earth is going on? From what I just heard, the police talking about Coach apparently committed suicide. Satoko was at a loss for words. Her face grew paler and paler, and I could tell she was doubting her own ears. Keiichi-san, is that true? I didn't mishear you. That's what I heard. They said Irie-sensei killed himself with sleeping pills. Satoko went down on her knees and broke out in tears. It can't be. Coach here would never ever kill himself. As I watched Satoko crying and clawing at the grass, I felt myself trapped by guilt and remorse. I got so angry that Coach was treating me like a madman yesterday, that he'd betrayed me, that I'd thought he'd be better off dead. But even Coach, who, to me, deserved to die, still must have had people who loved and respected him, like Satoko here. In my selfish, egotistical anger, I wished for his death, and it was granted. And now Satoko was crying hysterically as a result. The guilt tore at my heart. Das ist schon wieder die dumme Musik. Beim nächsten Zeug muss ich unbedingt mal gucken, ob man irgendwie Musik austauschen kann oder so. Die Musik an sich ist ja nicht schlecht. Nur es stört ein bisschen sehr, dass die so, wenn sie so laut ist, dann so ewig übersteuert. I worked myself up to murder for Satoko's sake. I decided I wanted Satoko to be happy. But was that really all it took? Murder meant taking someone's life, and meant making everyone attached to that person sad. In Satoko's uncle's case, of course, nobody would be sad, so I didn't feel a sense of guilt at all. But Coach's death was different. I had wanted to make Satoko happy, and that had resulted in me inflicting a deep sadness upon her, hadn't it? But Coach killed himself. It wasn't my... Satoko still hadn't stopped crying, but she seemed to be a little calmer now. Wiping her tears, she stood up. Nee, muss nicht sein. Nee, muss nicht sein. Mach mal andere Musik. Moment, kenne ich die Musik? Kommt mir irgendwie bekannt vor. Ah, das ist besser. Viel besser. Good. I'm sorry. And the only thing I could think of to say to her was an apology. Why are you apologizing? Well, yesterday I got into a fight with Coach. And I thought that I wanted him to die. I wanted it so he really... Satoko looked at me dubiously for a few moments. Eventually, her expression softened as she interpreted my words in her own way. It isn't your fault, Keiichi-san. Coach was an adult too. He felt like there was something he had to give his life for, and chose to do so after a lot of worrying and suffering. It's not anyone's fault. She smiled a little, trying to comfort me. I do not want to be naked forever. I want some clothes. Ist das andere Musik? Hört sich fast so an. Okay. Are you okay? Shouldn't you get someone at the clinic? Shouldn't you get someone at the clinic too? I won't die from putting on clothes before going. Satoko readjusted her bath towel and started back along the path. Her stride was wobbly, and it didn't look like she'd recover as much as she let on. At first, Satoko tried to go back home, but it wasn't the time of the morning when people were going to school. Were going to school and to work. So after seeing people walking around, she thought better of it. She must have been pretty embarrassed wearing only a towel. I'm going to Rika's house. My clothes should be there. What's wrong? Keiichi-san. Satoko noticed how I was hanging my head and spoke to me. Despite how he might have come off, Coach was an adult, alright. He would certainly not have killed himself after a petty fight with you, Keiichi-san. Please stop blaming yourself. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but with 3 people now, I couldn't discard the possibility. There was no such thing as impossible in this world. These past few days haven't made any sense. What hasn't? Satoko seemed to be having trouble breathing, but she still tried to listen to what I had to say. At the Watanagashi festival, the day before last, you went home on the way there, right? And I went there and had a lot of fun. So it would seem. I do apologize for getting so upset with you about it. Satoko remembered how she blew up at me in the classroom yesterday and bowed to me a little. If I said I actually didn't go to the festival at all, would you believe me? Satoko looked at me, confused. She couldn't help it, of course. Of course I wouldn't believe you. What are you on about? You wouldn't, right? I don't believe it either. I mean, I didn't go to the festival, but everyone's saying I hung out with them there. Nobody would believe it, right? Are you being serious? Yeah. Ever since the night of Watanagashi, everything's been messed up. These weird footsteps suddenly started following me everywhere. The blood drained from Satoko's expression. Footsteps following you? Yeah. I thought it was just my imagination at first, but they stayed with me. They're probably still there. I can't tell them apart now because of your footsteps, though. Satoko took a long and hard look at me. Maybe she was doubting my sanity. Coach did the same thing. I mean, why wouldn't he, after telling him this? The more I thought about it, the more I was unable to endure the feeling that my hatred for Coach had been meaningless. On the day of Watanagashi, I didn't go. I was doing something else, the whole time. I wasn't sleeping or unconscious or anything. So it's not possible that I walked to the festival in my sleep and forgot about it afterwards. That is quite strange. Then how were you at the festival? That's what I mean. I didn't go to the festival. No, I can't let myself get emotional. If I get agitated now, let it be like proving that there's something wrong with my head. Sorry. Well, nobody believes me, so yeah. If that is what you say, Keiichi-san, then I will believe you. Then what? That night I saw Takano-san, and it felt like she was looking down on me, so I made a wish that she would die. Takano-san does have that sort of air about her, doesn't she? I cannot say that I don't understand how you feel. Did you know that Takano-san died? It happened yesterday. Apparently she was burned alive somewhere. Is that true? She died. I wished for her to die, and the next day she was dead. And Oishi from the police too. Do you know him? That annoying and fat detective guy. Satoko nodded a little. I heard from the police earlier, but apparently he went missing. And yesterday, actually, I, wished that he would die. Is all this true? I'm not lying. I don't want to believe it either, but it's true. Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi, I wanted them dead, and then they really died. Are you crazy? For a little while, Satoko was at a loss. A long silence ensued. Ha 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 ha! What a scary story. I should be sure not to get on your bad side, Keiichi-san. And that's not all. There's something even stranger. It's about your uncle. I would rather you not talk about my uncle. He was there yesterday, right? At your house. Could we please stop talking about him? I don't want to. It's impossible. He couldn't have been there. I said stop talking about him. No! No! That man couldn't have been there after the night of Watanagashi. Because I... No! No more, please. No more about that man. I killed him with my own hands. Even the cicada stopped crying. Her face was streaked with tears, and it stiffened even more as she looked at me in disbelief. On the night of the Watanagashi festival, I killed your uncle. So it's impossible that he could have gone back home. But still, he went back. And last night he found fault with the dinner you made him, yelled all sorts of things at you, and then basically boiled you in the bathtub. That couldn't possibly have happened. So I wanted to make sure I'd actually killed him. So yesterday I went to dig up the corpse I buried. But the body wasn't there. Is that even possible? I killed him for sure, but there was no body. And he went home like nothing happened. Home to you, and that wasn't supposed to happen, was it? Satoko's entire body stiffened. She was shrinking away. Like there was someone in front of her, about to hurt her. You probably think I've gone a little crazy, don't you? I don't blame you. I can't believe it myself. Keiichi-san, I think you're very confused after all the people you wished were dead coincidentally died. You're just in shock at Coach's suicide and you're really upset. I think you should stay home from school today and rest. I'll be fine, so please take care of yourself. Satoko spoke like she understood me, but she also told me to go home. I could see the revulsion in her face and knew that she didn't want to be around me anymore. Once I show you to the clinic, I'll go home. Your legs are still shaking, aren't they? It would be terrible if you collapsed halfway there. I am fine now. I do not want to expose my naked self to a man any more than this. Ha! She wobbled up the shrine steps, looking like she was about to fall. I immediately ran up to her and helped her stay on on her feet. On her feet. But then Satoko promptly jumped away from me. That outright rejection hurt a lot. Once she got to the top of the stairs, her breathing was ragged, and she wasn't even looking at me. At this point, I was being ignored. Well, it was more like she didn't want to have anything to do with me. It really was a feeling of rejection. And that hurt my heart more than any blade could have. This was the path I chose for her sake. To be treated like this at the end of it all was just so saddening. Don't be naive, Keiji Maebara. You never wanted to be repaid in the first place. You didn't do it so that Satoko would thank you. You did it so Satoko would be happy. And that was what led to this ending. Rika-chan's house was a disaster prevention storehouse used by the town council. If you went past it a little further through the shrine grounds, you'd apparently reach the back of the assembly hall. Satoko was heading there, walking quickly, the gravel under her feet crunching as she went. Did she want to get there as soon as possible, or did she want to run away? I couldn't tell. And then I heard the vigorous sound of wings flapping. I turned around and saw a crow. I hadn't seen many crows since coming to Hinamizawa. I saw them a lot in my old town though. On garbage day they'd flock to trash, collecting points, peck through the bags with their beaks, drag out the contents and have a feast. As I was remembering that, I saw a few crows flocking around the shrine's donation box. And I thought how terrible it was for someone to leave a garbage bag in a place like that. The cicadas quieted. Breathing stopped. Thoughts ceased. Even time came to a halt. I ran over to where the crows were flocking. I ran there in order to drive a horrible idea out of my mind. I definitely hadn't wanted this. There's no way I would ever wish for this even by mistake. This was not. When they noticed my vicious approach, the crows all flapped upwards, fleeing into the sky. When the crows' big black bodies flew away, they exposed the garbage bag. Das lese ich nicht vor. What had I seen there? The scream had escaped from my throat before I understood what I was looking at. What was this? Satoko came over as well, realizing something had happened. And she looked over my shoulder, then she screamed as well. This wasn't. The garbage bag was crimson, dyed in fresh blood. Enough of this stupid roundabout way of saying it. That's right, yes. It was Rika-chan, our friend Satoko's best friend. Always easygoing, clever as a cat, but so cute you couldn't hate her. Or our friend Rika-chan, she was. Rika-chan was stark naked. She was face up, limbs sprawled. Her eyes were like glass, just staring up into the sky. And Rika! Satoko broke down, crying on the spot, and yet she still couldn't approach her friend's remains. The crows had gotten through the garbage bag and they dragged out an apple peel and spread it all over. No, crows, they couldn't do this. Way. On the spot, I started vomiting. The sour taste became a bitter one as I threw up over and over again. Rika-chan, her stomach was cut wide open, vertically, completely open. Rika! Crows couldn't have done this. And from an open stomach, her organs, her bowels were dragged out like children's toys left all over the floor. That unbelievable sight induced oxygen deprivation in my brain. Color left my vision, a pounding headache, dizzy, and I wanted to vomit. It was like the nightmarish remains of a ceremonial killing. Someone, somewhere, had killed Rika-chan, brought her here, laid her here with her limbs sprawled out, and then cut open her stomach and dragged out her intestines. Red and pink viscera were sticking out of her gut, and her intestines were scattered in every direction like it had been for fun. The entire ground was covered in an ocean of red and black. A few of the crows had hopped around inside that ocean. They walked through the sea of blood, leaving bloody footprints, and those footprints, there were several still left on Rika-chan's body. Those sinister prints made it seem even more like a bizarre ritual killing. I may have wished for Takano-san and Coach and Oishi to die, but I didn't remember ever wishing for Rika-chan's death. Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I stumbled backwards, then stepped on a newspaper. A newspaper in a place like this? The newspaper was what was covering my headset. I had kept it wrapped up and on my belt in order to carry Satoko, and that newspaper had fallen off. Sheesh, don't scare me like that. I bent down to pick it up, and then Satoko looked at me with such disbelief as I'd never seen, and froze. She was looking straight at me, at the headset on my belt. Calm down, Satoko. This isn't what it looks like. Satoko, trembling madly, backed away. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't. The murderer. She didn't care at all that she was exposing herself through the towel. She just trembled and tried to step back from the demon in front of her. Satoko, please calm down. Please relax. Satoko. No! Screaming weakly, Satoko began to run unsteadily. Run. Away, that is. Wait, please wait, Satoko. You're wrong. That's not it. The way she ran away, it was so weak, so slow. So if I wanted to go after her, I could have caught up. But if I tried to grab Satoko's shoulder or something right now, she might actually go crazy. So I had to follow her and try and clear this up. You killed Takano-san and Coach and Oishi-san, didn't you? You killed my uncle and then you killed Rika. You murderer! No, it wasn't me. I didn't kill her. What are you saying? You just said it yourself, did you not? Did you not? You wanted them to die. And then everyone died, didn't they? Well, no. Just wishing that they were dead. That couldn't. You don't even remember what you did, do you? How can I trust a person like you? Didn't your memory of killing them just slip your mind? No, maybe you're only pretending not to remember. Besides, what is that hatchet for? Try explaining that. It's for... See? Keiichi-san, you're a killer, aren't you? Why did you do it? You were a little mean, but you were fun and kind, and once I even thought you might be my real Nini. Why did you turn into this? I might have been able to slowly answer each one of Satoko's questions at a time. But in this situation, explaining my innocence in such a short period of time was impossible. I mean, I didn't even know if I was really innocent anyway. At the very least, I killed Satoko's uncle. There was no body, but I killed him, without a doubt. At that point, I was far from innocent, and I wished Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi were dead, and that curse of mine was granted. When I wished for Takano-san to die, I didn't think of it as anything more than a normal thing you'd say to someone you didn't like. But then she actually did die, and I realized that if I wanted people to die, they would. And hoping it would happen again, I cursed Coach and Oishi for the same fate. So even ignoring Takano-san's death, Coach's and Oishi's were completely premeditated crimes. Was I a killer just like Satoko said? Was I unable to distinguish between illusion and reality and turned into a demon without remembering it, becoming a killer who carried out Oyashiro-sama's curse? No, that couldn't be. It was impossible. Nah, damn it. The very word impossible was impossible in Hinamizawa right now. How many freaking times have I said that word these past 3 days? Satoko had started crying again and was walking unsteadily. At first it felt like she was still running, but now it was like she was walking away crying from someone bullying her. Why? Why did things turn out this way? Why? Why? If there was an answer to that, then I wanted to know it too. Why? Why had it turned out like this? After Nini went away, I was lonely for a long time. But then Keiichi-san transferred out to our school, and everyone was happy again. It was fun again. Every day was beautiful. Yeah, she was right. Those days were bright and beautiful. And yet, after that, Satoko and I shouted the exact same thing. How did it turn out like this? The cicadas were sneering at the spectacle, our strange game of tag. Ah, shut up, shut up, shut up. Eventually, I heard the murmuring of a stream. Okay. The forest parted and a suspension bridge appeared. Satoko was crossing dangerously, wobbling as though she might fall at any moment. And when I stepped onto the bridge, I swayed a lot, causing Satoko to stagger and fall on the spot. Satoko, are you okay? Don't come near me! You murderer! Satoko shouted, her hatred made very clear. It was sad. If words could cut, then this warmth flowing from my eyes would have been blood for sure. Why did you turn out this way? Keiichi-san, I really liked you. I wanted to go up to her and give her a hand, but the distance between us was uncrossable. If I got any closer, Satoko would start shouting again and say things that would hurt me deeply again. So I couldn't approach any closer than this. Satoko, I don't know how things turned out like this either, but I can say this. I wasn't the one who killed Rika-chan. At least that is true. Please stop being so absurd. How do you expect me to believe anything someone who can't even rely on his own memories has to say? I tightened my hands into fists. This was mortifying. I wasn't crazy. Hinamizawa was crazy, ever since I wandered into it, lost on that one night. This insane world where I was at the festival when I wasn't, and the uncle I killed was alive, where death would come just by wishing for it. It was this world's fault. Mion and Reina started acting strangely, like they were possessed by something too, and Coach wouldn't believe anything I had to say. And even Satoko, who I should have protected, was yelling at me like this. Was the price for killing a man supposed to be this high? Was I really going to be forced to stay in such a bitter world? I did the right thing. At least I wanted to. So then, Och, nicht die Scheißmusik schon wieder. So then, why? I hated it. Every time I asked why the days Satoko and I enjoyed in peace went so wrong. Mann, die Kackmusik. Nee. Das vielleicht. Nee. Meine Fresse. Nee. Da. Anständig. I hated it every time I asked why the days Satoko and I enjoyed in peace went so wrong. Satoko, please believe me. I'm not a murderer. Then what is that hatchet for? Can you give a convincing explanation for that? Is this hatchet scaring you? Okay, I'll throw it away. That's what you want, right? Satoko didn't nod, but she seemed to be in agreement with that proposition. I clumsily took the hatchet out of my belt, then dropped it over the side of the bridge into the stream below. There, it's gone. Now, you listen to me, right? You think I let my guard down just because you got rid of your weapon? Keiichi-san, you're strong. It would be easy for you to strangle me with your bare hands. Like hell I would. Ever want to kill Satoko? You idiot. Then what should I do? Should I put my hands on my head? Yes, why don't you? Please put your hands on your head and face the other way. It was a cunning plan, much like the ones she used during club activities. Putting my hands on my head and turning away would mean I couldn't attack Satoko very easily. Ein bisschen laut. Ist da noch die Musik? Ja. I immediately... Was ist das für ein Wort? Acquiesced. Dulden, hinnehmen.
Acquiesced.
Acquiesced. Okay. Interessant. I immediately acquiesced to her request, since it would make her feel better. Is this alright? Please listen to what I have to say. Satoko stood up, then carefully approached me from behind. And then she actually came right up behind me. She was so close, and yet I was so sad that I wasn't allowed to turn around. I sort of think I understand that it isn't your fault, Keiichi-san. Huh? I think probably you have just been possessed by something evil. Until before, I thought Keiichi-san was a killer. But now I know, after looking at your eyes. I could hear that Satoko was still crying, but her voice was gentle just the same. Keiichi-san could never kill anyone. Something simply possessed his body and made him do evil things. She was speaking literally right now. Or was she trying to admonish me? I couldn't tell. Come to think of it, maybe they were possessed just like Keiichi-san. At the time, I was only thinking I would be killed, so I didn't think about it. But now I understand. That was the work of something evil that possessed you. Satoko, what are you? It was less like she was talking to me, and more like she was talking to herself, like she was confessing at my back. Ich hab gute Musik im Kopf. Gucken, ob die passt. Nee, die passt nicht. Ist denn überhaupt noch die... Ja. Scheißmusik. I understand, you know. It isn't like I haven't experienced it myself. Satoko's voice started to become mixed with sobs. Her pained voice tore at my heart. Was? Das ist ja... Ne, das war, Titelmusik von Barry Lyndon. Sehr guter, aber sehr, sehr, sehr langer Film von Stanley Kubrick. But I didn't know what Satoko was talking about. I climbed to the top of the ritual storehouse once. It was a few years ago. Once, when Satoko was playing hide and seek at the shrine grounds, she climbed onto the roof of the storehouse for ritual implements, with which everyone said not to go near, and hid. Then Satoko saw that she could get in through a window meant for ventilation. For Satoko, the word curse was plenty scary, but she was more curious about what was inside the unknown storehouse. She removed the grating on the window, which was already hanging off, slid her small body into it, and climbed down inside. It was too dark to see much, but after descending, she realized just how high up she'd been. Despite the darkness, she could see a few things around her, thanks to the faint light coming in from the air window. And to her disappointment, it was just a regular old storehouse. She tried to leave, but the door was locked up tight from the outside, and it was made to not open from within. She would have to go back out through the ventilation window she'd come in from. But the window was high on the wall, and there was no way she would be able to climb back up. Satoko desperately tried not to cry, and racked her brain thinking of a way to get up there. There were a lot of birdcage-looking things hanging by chains from the ceiling. She took the hanging chains and strung them along the wall. If she climbed up the bundle of chains, she might be able to manage to climb up to the ventilation window. There was nothing else she could do, so she had to try. And try she did. It was dark and creepy, and she didn't want to stay there forever. The more she thought about that, the more she panicked. She climbed the bundle of chains. Satoko could hear the clinks and clanks of everything creaking under her weight. And then, just as her hand reached the window, one of the metal fixtures she'd used to stick the chains on the wall flew off, and the chains all began to pull loudly and fiercely, every which way. Spurred on by the sounds behind her, she managed to go back onto the roof from the window. Because of the weight of the flailing bundle of chains, the other fixtures broke, and then one of the big bird cages hanging from the ceiling fell to the floor with a huge noise. Under it was an image of Oyashiro-sama, his vessel, and the cage took off one of the arms, then trapped some other implements beneath it. It didn't take very long for her to grow scared of what she'd done. The deafening noise could be heard from the rest of the shrine grounds. A few other children heard it and gathered around, and of course Rika was one of them. Then Rika's father, the shrine's priest, with an angry look ran over. And then, as for what happened next, it was painful to remember. The only one who knew were Rika's parents, where Rika's parents kept the key to the ritual storehouse was Rika. So he scolded her, saying that this happened because Rika pulled a prank and hid me in there. He was very angry and menacing. Just looking at him was enough to frighten anyone. He exposed Rika's back, took a strangely shaped ritual cane or something, and struck her with it several times. Rika's words, at the time, "It wasn't me, it wasn't me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry." That painful, pitiful voice, I still can't get it out of my head. I should have said it was me. I should have said so, to save my best friend from that false accusation, without being afraid of Rika's father's terrible temper. Rika gritted her teeth and cried at the crime she didn't remember doing. Ever since then, the world had been strange. I know, I understand. This is Oyashiro-sama's curse. His judgment for messing up the ritual storehouse and forsaking my best friend. Oyashiro-sama's curse. My father and mother too, they vanished in that muddy stream. My mean aunt died too, but then Nini, who loved me more than anyone, who ran away from home. And then Keiichi-san transferred in, and I thought I'd finally gotten my fun life back. But this time, Keiichi-san was possessed, and even Rika got killed. Haben wir eigentlich auch Musik? Yeah. There's something I heard once. Oyashiro-sama, when he really curses someone, he doesn't kill them right away. He goes in order of your closest friends, and after killing them all, he kills that person last. So Keiichi-san, the curse got you too. I'm sure that Reina-san and Mion-san will be cursed next, and then they'll kill and be killed. No more. No! Calm down, Satoko. There's no curse. Nobody's trying to torment you. When I turned around, I was thrust away with amazing force. Given my hands were awkwardly placed on my head, I couldn't take the fall and lost my balance. And I'd been pushed not into the bridge, but to the side. Towards the stream. No, this can't be happening. As one last miracle, I was allowed to grab a cord hanging from the bridge. Far below me was the stream. We were pretty high up, and below were rocks of all sizes. If I fell, it clearly wouldn't be pretty. The entire bridge was tilting under my body weight. My frail little grip probably wouldn't last another minute before my fingers had to let go. Satoko! Satoko! I didn't understand myself, what I meant by shouting her name then. Was I asking her to save me? Or was I asking her why she did this? Finally, everything came back into focus and I saw Satoko, and was surprised at what an odd expression she had. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was an expression of a righteous anger, meant only for those who needed to die. Die, you murderer! Give back my Nini! Give back Rika and Mami and Keiichi-san! Wow. She screamed, she jerked the bridge to and fro. She didn't have to do that. I was going to fall anyway. I won't lose to the likes of you. I won't lose to some stupid curse. I will never, ever lose to you. You took everyone. I will never lose to you. Not ever. Satoko, please, just let me say one thing. I don't know what my face looked like at the time, but it seemed like it was enough to quell Satoko's agitation. I know that what I did isn't exactly praiseworthy. No, in fact, maybe I should never have done it at all. But I did it because I wanted you to be happy. Please, just believe that. Wie war sie denn in der Story? können ja mal schnell schauen. Vier, 8. Mal schnell gucken. Oh. Übrigens, wer Rika sehen will. Sieht man da Rika? Ja. Nein, im Anime sieht sie genauso aus. Anime sieht sie genauso aus. Ups, ne. Zeichenstil von Satoko. Ja, die erste Staffel auf jeden Fall. Ich weiß nicht, ob es allgemein so war. War schon recht komisch. Irgendwie recht große Köpfe und recht dünne Körper. Besonders bei den Kindern. So. You, at the very end, you're still pretending to be Keiji-san. Satoko didn't seem to have any more desire to listen to what I had to say. And for that to happen at the very end like this was tragic. I didn't do any of it so you would praise me. If it made you happy, that was all that mattered. We were nothing. Without your smile, we were nothing. So after I disappear, please smile. If you can get on with your new life by my dying, then please just smile. Can't you at least promise me that? Stop speaking. Don't use Keiichi-san's mouth like that. Fall down. Die! And those were the last words Satoko ever said to me. Those sad, tragic, and altogether unrewarding words. What on earth was I? My desire to make Satoko happy ended up like this. Where did I first go wrong? And what was the mistake I made? When did I make it? Was I the crazy one, or was it Hiramizawa? Even after all of this, I thought I wasn't crazy at all. It was this eerie world that was crazy. This world I'd accidentally wandered into that one night. Because that fun world where I never doubted all the crazy times we had as a club would go on forever. It couldn't possibly have transformed into such an abnormal world. That fun world wouldn't have ever ended with this, with Satoko pushing me to my death. In the end, I was going to be swallowed up by this crazy world and disappear. No, I'd probably already disappeared. Yes, probably. On the night of Watanagashi. I'm sure that in the world I really belonged to, I had vanished that night and everyone was worried. It was laughable that I had taken this long to figure out I wasn't around anymore. Where Shiro-sama's curse on the 5th year was Satoku's uncle dying and me disappearing. In the real world, Satoku had already been freed. Maybe my friends were all lamenting my disappearance and valiantly trying to get back on their feet. And even though they were down to 4 people, the club would reopen and they would have a good time without me, waiting for the day when I would come back. I'm sorry everyone. I couldn't come back home. But this is what I wished for. It was my wish for Satoku's smile and my duty as a nini. At this point, there will be nobody left to torture you. Because Satoshi and I, it took 2 years, but we succeeded. That annoying, toothy smile of yours. We wanted to see it one more time. My pain wasn't gentle or merciful. It was a sharp pain, violent, powerful and ruthless. What little compassion I had receded in the span of a moment. And now I could die. I could say goodbye to this insane world. Farewell, crazed Hinamizawa. Thanks for giving me the psychic power to kill people whenever I wanted. If you'll still allow it, I'll wish for one last thing. The death of this very world, of this crazed Hinamizawa. So that nobody would ever again have to find themselves lost here again. Die Musik ist scheiße einfach. So, endet's wieder Anime oder endet's wie Manga? Manga? Nein, Anime. Was? Was? Wie continue? Geht noch weiter. Aber die ersten beiden Arcs hatten doch auch nur 12 Kapitel. Oder kommt eine... Ne? Keiichi ist nicht tot. End of Chapter 12. Bestimmt der Polizeibericht. Nein! My head was pounding. Keiichi ist nicht tot. Wie im Manga. What? Ja. Ja, im Anime endet's, glaube ich, da. Aber es kommt noch ein ganzes Stück. Ein kleines bisschen was. Kommt noch, ja. Nicht super viel, aber es kommt noch ein bisschen was. Tut es. Ah ja, also. Dann geht's nächste Woche halt doch weiter. Mit wahrscheinlich dem letzten Kapitel, jetzt doch dann letztes Kapitel vom Tatarigoroshi-hen.